fellow citizens, fellow San Diegoans. Today's date is June 7, 2012, and I'm going to show you something. I got to make it fast because I got to keep some memory on my memory card on this video camera. Pay close attention and understand this and be clear. Look in the YouTube comments feature of this particular video. It could take up to 2 to 3 weeks for me to get extremely detailed information that will cooperate the material I'm about to show you. But if you stay tuned to this particular YouTube video, which I will eventually make into a blog as well, you will see undeniable, undisputable, cooperating material concerning what's in the YouTube video, which is this. Brain-to-computer interface. It's a computer chip they literally put in your brain. Okay? Yeah. The controller device is usually put down here. Okay, it's called the BCI, brain-to-computer interface. These are 4 implants. They put 1 in the cranium and then 3 in the spinal column. The implants are activated when the person's having the implant is under distress. Usually feel the implant number distress. 1 usually feel the implant, that's in reference to implant number 1. 2 activated first, it reaches implant, what does that say, number 1, the back of the head, leading to dubbed vision. Implant number 2 and 4 are directly wired to the brain-computer interface, which is this one right here. Now this right here is an ear implant that goes in, and this ear implant used for hypnotical programming trigger words, which is attached to NLP, neuro-linguistic programming, and DLNP, which is dark neuro-linguistic programming. What does that mean? That means when gang stalkers get along your route and engage in the hypnotic trigger words, which is nothing but words that they sensitize you to through direct conversation tactics. That in turn, because when these neural circuits are, when the neuro-linguistic programming is mentioned through the direct conversation tactics, mental and emotional responses are created in neural pathways. They identify the resonance frequency of those neural networks and interface them with the frequency that is built in with the RFID of the implant. So once those resonance frequencies are matched together deliberately, and then they're re-experienced through the continued gang stalking, that in turn activates the implants. Pain, anger, depression, distress, implants are activated. So what they got to do is get along your route, okay, to engage in the hypnotic trigger words. And the reason why they call them hypnotic is because trauma is always induced towards a target, okay, which puts you in a disassociated state, okay. And as a result, while you're experiencing, see, the direct conversation tactics are directly are developed and designed to produce mental responses and emotional responses while you're disassociated. Okay. Hang on. And the whole goal for them is to deliberately create these neural responses, their neural pathways, okay, in order to be able to constantly bring the brain back into all the emotional and brain states that are fused in within the neural network. So when these neural networks are formed and then re-stimulated through the trigger words, that's like when you know how like when you hear a favorite song, it brings you back to a memory of somebody, that the song, when like say if you were sitting around a beach with a loved one and you were kissing and you heard a song while it was playing and then you named it your song, and then you broke up and 5 years down the road you heard the song, you were brought back to that memory. That's what I'm talking about, where the brain becomes disassociated in relation to something that stimulates that memory, that neural network. And this is the deliberate audacity of why they use neuro-linguistic programming in gang stalking. And if you go on the internet and type in organized stalking and gang stalking to DLNP and NLP, which is dark neural linguistic programming or neural linguistic programming, it's all done in order to activate the implants, because the resonance frequency of the neural pathways that are created as a result of experiencing the mental and emotional responses as a result of the provocative neural linguistic programming words, the theme of the words, okay, that are always associated to an event, and then repotentiated by subjecting the target to the repetition of these words along a target's routes. And that in turn activates the implant, and then the implant does its job. Activating pain, anger, depression, distress, whatever is in the neural network, and as a result the implant is activated because the neural pathway has a resonance frequency. They match that resonance frequency to the frequency of the RFID. Yeah, they either modulate it up or modulate it down. They step it up or step it down. Now this is remote neural monitoring implant, right? This is how remote neural monitoring works. RNM, it's attached to the brain in reference to an implant, and I'm hearing now they don't even need an implant once they got your bioelectric frequency of your brain figured out, and then it's attached to the data acquisitions that are programmed in the computer, in the monitor, okay? And gang stalking is mentioned all over this one. This is a remote neural monitoring implant right here that's usually put in the ear, and notice how these ear implants are also used for hypnotical programming trigger words. And understand this also, targets are also subjected to hypnotical programming while they're sleeping. It's called John Hall calls it minding, where they're using data packets. To transmit EEGs into a target's brain while they're sleeping. And data packet programs. Now, I know this all sounds unfamiliar. You probably can't figure this out. You got to do your research. This is remote neural monitoring and electronic harassment developer, and this is that person, from what I'm understanding, lives in Palm Springs in reference to how his kids are using remote neural monitoring. What they're doing is involved in drug dealing, I guess, and getting neighborhood children involved in drugs, and then using remote neural monitoring to stimulate the neural pathways that are associated to the addictions that are formed. And in order for you to understand that, I gotta make this fast because I'm running out of memory time. In order for you to understand that, go to this webpage right here. And also type in Kevin Frade, remote neural monitoring.blogspot.com. Now, some of Kevin Bond's blogs are very descriptive, but understand this: ignore what might seem distasteful, because there's some sexual images in there. What's important? He was a federal clerk that was targeted. What's important is what he's saying. Understand this, okay? I'm an educated woman. Just do it. This right here, you can go to UnitedTargetedIndividualsEurope.com. This shows the TI symptoms that a target experiences as a result of being targeted with this technology, and how the organized stalking is attached to it. Okay? It's on the TI symptoms list, as you can see, TI symptoms. Okay? Now again, here's the remote neural monitoring, how it interfaces with the brain, and how these brain-computer interface implants and the spinal column implants and the ear implants are all interfaced with gang stalking. Okay? Yeah. Now this right here is electronic harassment, and that's directly associated to the microwave auditory effect, where they basically will use microwave transmissions to interface with the bioelectric frequency of any particular unique target. Okay? So only the target hears the electronic harassment, which is nothing but a computer that is transmitting dialogue to a target in our non-stop. It's called the computer-to-brain feedback loop. It's mentioned in the remote neural monitoring file you can find online, but it's described in that file as the computer-to-brain link. This right here is a company in Los Angeles, and I guess they're also based in Utah. Advanced Electronic Security Company and microwave detection, remote mind control technology. I mean, there's literally a company, okay, in Los Angeles that literally deals with this. This is another one. I'm going to make another video file in reference to these materials so I can show you more in depthly what's on them and explain it a little bit better. I feel rushed right now, so my total 100% description of how all this works is not as prudent as I want it to be. Understand this. Science News, right on the top of it, a CPU on the top of a target's brain, okay? Mind over machine. It's actually machined over mind. Now look at this. It's the same implant, okay? It goes on the top of the head and is literally controlled by this mechanism right here. Is actually underneath the scalp, right underneath the scalp, and this is where they attach. This is how they connect to it, through Wi-Fi. Yeah, using a cable connector. Literally, this one right here controls the arm and the hand. Okay, microchip implants, mind control, and cybernetics. So if they bring a gang stalking expedition towards you after you've been implanted with one of these that is threatening, they can control your arm and hand to move in a responsive way to the provocation deliberately and then arrest you. Yeah, because this is all about racketeering. Yeah. And again, like I said, I'm going to make another video so you can understand the reason why they're doing this to people. It's about mind control in order for racketeering, neural enslavement, including for eventual prostitution rings. Once they get you brained and trained for prostitution, they create neural networks for it to get you to cooperate. Then they identify and mark those neural networks and will stimulate them back in consciousness in real time, okay, to get you to rethink out and react out how they programmed you for prostitution. It only takes one event to get you to cooperate, to give sex up to a person, based on threats, coercion, money, whatever. Once they get you to think it and then act on it, they identify and mark that neural network that's created, and then will stimulate it back in real time to bring all that thinking and the motor cortex associated behaviors back in real time. And it totally overrides conscious scrutiny, okay? And so all the target believes is that they're just cooperating again. It's neural enslavement for prostitution, human sexual servitude rings, and human trafficking, okay? And you cannot, when you're stimulated, when a neural network is stimulated back in current consciousness, one, you don't even know it's been stimulated because it's stimulated under the perceptual radar, and two, you have no ability to override it consciously, because when they stimulate it, they pulsate the stimulation, yeah, to where it's pulsated in a non-stop pulsating transmission. In other words, there's no way for the human mind to override it with other conscious thoughts, okay? This is one of the apparatuses they use here to piggyback off of in order to activate the implants. Yeah, the frequencies of the implants, cell phone towers. They also use satellite, stationary satellites in the community, like satellites for cable TV. This is a web page here, gangstalkingworld.com. The government went and shut that one down, and here's just a little tidbit showing this. Wailing fire engines stalk unjustly targeted Americans. That was made by a journalist, yeah, about how firemen involved in gang stalking. I gotta stop this, I'm almost out of memory. San Diego, California.